That's just crazy. I love that, though. And of course, we have 6 games today. So what are we hoping to see, right? We kind of touched a little bit on it yesterday, rather, before we said goodbye. But with 6 new games, and now you've had time to, take a look at our strategies and make adjustments, what are we hoping to see change today?
I want to see that 100-point lead from first and second place shrink, as in the words of Sundown, the shoopening. I want to see all of these trios really fight, especially when we come down to game 12. I want it to be close. I don't want to be able to predict who is going to walk away going to the Global Championships.
Listen, I feel like we only got it one time yesterday. I mentioned it, Peterbot and Cole, they were up there on the high ground as a duo. I want to see the whole trio up there. I want to see them get a win today, kind of resurge towards the top of that leaderboard and make us, or give us a battle all the way into game 12 for that first place spot.
It's time. It's time. 6 games here. The axe, the Blade of Champions, rather. Global Championships on the line. Titles on the line. Life-changing amounts of money are all on the line to find your seat on the bus. This is game number 1. Casters, take it away.
That's right. One thing to think about, there is no multiplier today either. Your games will just count point for point, the same format carrying over from yesterday into today. So this is going to be a continuation of the action.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to consistency. You said it yourself, the no multiplier means it's all about how you're going to play each and every one of these games, because typically with that multiplier, you can have a bad game, maybe 2 if you're lucky, but now with those standings this close, Monster, that is out the window, and it is time. Game number 7, the start of day 2 is right now.
Game 7 kicks off, and once again, we find ourselves looking at the top teams. Who will be the team to take it all away here for Game 7 to kind of kick off the day, set the pace for yourself here on this lovely Sunday afternoon? I mean, I'm looking forward to all of the action here that's going to unfold. Yesterday couldn't have been predicted, right? I don't think that anyone knew that Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot were going to have problems off spawn the way they kind of have in those early game fights. It really did lead to an interesting day. I am more interested to see what are going to be the adjustments teams make now coming into it, because you have to mix it up. You have to change your strats.
Yeah, and a lot of those tricks that some of these teams held underneath their sleeve until the Major 1 finals got exposed yesterday. How they're really using the fishing, the surge towers to accumulate that surge so they don't have to worry about it later. And we jump on board early, our first place team, and we're seeing it early, uncontested. The amount of respect they were able to put on their names, the Night Shift Forest, and you can see how spread out they actually are. Hoyo's the one in the early game right now. You see him, he's as close to the bird as possible. He's gonna loot up a little bit and then reach on over towards the south, try to get more surge shots, so that way it kind of eases up their pressure later on in the game.
Those little tags do start to add up as we start looking towards that kickoff game surge. We all know that usually the start of the competition, things are a little more stacked than you would otherwise imagine. Yesterday was exactly a showcase of just that in game number 1. If this fight goes the distance, then I think it'll tell us everything we need to know about teams. Just try to get into their groove, right, to kind of kick things off here today. By the end of the day yesterday, DC Noah and Chaos were in full-on clash mode up against Oliver OG's team there. So if this doesn't end fast, I think we're going to be in for a very high surge game.
Yeah, and you can kind of see already in the mini-map, more and more teams are going to the outskirts of Hopeful Hypes. So yesterday, some of them were kind of disengaging in some of those games, going back there to try to loot up. Now that is going to literally be impossible before you run into another team. And I think Oliver OG, Skate, or Dash, they might have some sense that they have a good advantage in this fight, and they're already hunting on over, teetering on over in that direction. It's Chaos Gaming down below. He's the one that truly has to be careful because he's out of position by himself.
Yeah, definitely. A couple tags here for Dash to kind of kick things off and give him the advantage. And notice these tags are going to do some damage through these builds. Obviously, given that there's wood. Meanwhile, it does look like there is some action happening over in the terrace here. We have Veer, Scare, and Sonetto going against Chance, Mason, and Donnie right now. Here's a team that had to fight their way through. That clutch performance for Donnie to go ahead and bring his team straight to the finals. So far, having a good showing here with the standoff, so things are looking a little better for them today.
Yeah, and it's already feeling just a little slow, a little sluggish compared to what we were seeing in games 2 through 6 yesterday. So Storm Surge is definitely going to hit hard if you're not prepared for it. Skate or Dash, they have a 2v1, try to break into the box, but they get denied entry. That's Aaron, Nerdface, Joji on the other side. And this is exactly what you're talking about. The longer you take in these off-spawn fights, this is going to happen more times than not.
Yeah, it creates a cascading or a compounding effect for the rest of the lobby. But look at this. DC, Awesomer, and team caught that third-party trio that was just lurking on the outskirts, trying to see if they can jump in and find some action. It's Polis and Listen who are left standing here as Power was the first to fall now. Still, though, can't count this team out. Still a clean 2-on-2 action right now. Great tags from both sides, and it's forced down to low ground right now.
Kind of pressuring them out. Got to imagine they must know contested over there at Hopeful Heights. The loot's got to be low, especially with one of their players down. But Power getting eliminated as well kind of makes this a little bit more of an even fight. So not going to get aggressive, I feel like, as they'd once hoped. I think for Polis and Listen, depending on where they came from, I feel like they can kind of disengage on outward and try to get that reboot, because they know Chaos and DC still have to not only acquire their reboot, but figure out where they're even going to go after that. But Listen stacking himself back, trying to go for a sneak attack onto Chaos. He let his teammate orb out, hoping they would take the bait. Hook, line, and sinker. They not only took the bait, but they get eliminated for it.
Now here's what's crazy. There are 2 more teams rotating into the Hopeful Heights. This is very, very different as compared to yesterday. We were wondering what strategies were going to be coming into play here, and it seems like teams have noticed, hey, this contested fight could be one that we can pick on, but it's almost like multiple trios have had that same idea in mind. We'll see how that affects the center map, given that they're playing more of the outskirts. Ritual, Peterbot, and Cold, though, have rotated Coastal here towards the west, given that the zone's pretty much on top of them at this point, so they're going to be content to take this fight. What we noticed yesterday was that in their 6 games, their early game surge battles, or really farming for eliminations here, is what set them apart, right, on the standings, allowing them to remain competitive.
And that stat is actually pretty crazy. Since forming as a trio, they've won at least 1 game in every 6-game final until yesterday, but still in second place. Goes to show that I feel like today for them is not just about winning the FNCS. It's about vengeance, about getting revenge on how they were playing yesterday. Peterbot holding that pressure. I feel like this team uncontested at Whiffy Wharf. They thought it was going to be a blessing, but that just allows for a team like this, as aggressive and hungry as they normally get outside of the zone, to kind of hold their position. And they talked about the extra heals that Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual have, so they can keep this fight going as long as they want.
No respect. Cold just builds right over them, forces them out, and they go running. This team recognizing that going up against the likes of Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual in a box-to-box fight with no advantage is definitely one that's too risky, but it seems like Press was left behind, and Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold are looking to swarm in here.
Yeah, Peterbot's just kind of playing to keep them down there, waste their time, essentially. Cold, Ritual looking, trying to handle this 2v1 while they do have a good numbers advantage. But you got to be careful. Prez looking to push the 1v1 against Ritual. Luckily for him, Peterbot returns to the fight, making sure they have a strength in numbers continuously throughout this whole exchange.